Waking up with a flood of Twitter notifications and DE staff tweeting at you is quite the feeling, let me tell you. While I am quite happy that my most recent video has been taken note of by you guys over at DE, I must admit that your collective response to it leaves a lot to be desired, given that it ranges from confusing to just outright ludicrous. Anyways, allow me to formally start things off. Ahem.
Reel it in, I got the bag, tell a friend, she got some ass, bring it in, bitch I'm the news, CNN, yeah.
I was honestly hoping that some form of discussion could be spawned from this, but unfortunately, this is something that I'll have to make do with. Dear DE, the reason why I find myself so disappointed by your response to my video is because you're not addressing anything I put forth in my video. Instead, both you and your Twitter followers are going straight for my throat instead of bothering to talk about anything I mentioned in my video, essentially meaning that your response is an ad hominem. If anything, this is only further proving the point that you're refusing to bring up the actual issues that lie in your chat moderator program, which is that you gave the authority and position of being a chat moderator to people who were clearly unqualified, and you did nothing about it even when you had players telling you that something was wrong long ago. Even though you say you're always open for feedback and/or criticism, your actions say otherwise. We as the player base have been telling you that your chat moderator program has had incredibly glaring issues for years, and you have literally done nothing about it until 2 months ago on DevStream 120, when you briefly mentioned you were bringing in a third party to help with chat moderation, and when DE Bear announced the implementation changes. Could I have worded and structured my video to come across as less aggressive, so to speak? Sure. However, this was not done in a way to attack you as a developer, which you claim my video is doing. If anything, you're so focused on accusing me of personally attacking you that you're giving off the impression that the only parts of my video that you watched were the ones that mentioned DE Danielle by name. And yes, I understand. Not everything I talked about in my previous video was an issue directly linked to chat moderators, such as the administrative wasteland that is Warframe Discord. However, what matters here is that your refusal, or at least your silence, speaks volumes of how you refuse to have a serious discussion about your chat moderators. This sort of silence doesn't just apply to the chat moderators, but also to matters that should be very cut and dry, such as your still unexplained reasoning as to why Ashisogi Tenno has not been accepted to the partner program, despite surpassing the laid-out requirements.
Reel it in, I got the bag, tell a friend, she got some ass, bring it in, bitch I'm the news, CNN, yeah.
You've refused to acknowledge player outcry over the chat moderators for ages. You've refused to acknowledge your mistake of allowing toxic players to even become chat moderators in the first place. And you've refused to even say anything even remotely related to your chat moderators until now. Because of this, you're giving off the image that you don't care or even consider this a real problem. So naturally, people like me who are tired of being put on the back burner over and over and over and over again just keep getting louder and more frustrated. This isn't even anything new. These exact issues have been brought to you multiple times, and yet the one time you're presented with evidence that the issues you've left to fester need to be addressed, you instead decide to publicly shame me instead of attempting a proper response about this topic. We as the players have been trying to get you to do something about your chat moderators for the past few years, and the majority of the time we're just screaming into the void. It shouldn't come as a surprise to you that the last resort for getting your attention for matters such as this is to present it in such a way that you can't ignore it, such as my last video. This isn't even the first time the community has asked for something, only to end up being ignored. Remember when we wanted universal vacuum? We've asked for it for years, and we got nothing until you suddenly decided to give a nerfed version of it to Sentinels. What's the point of providing feedback then, if such a simple request gets declined time and time again for no valid reason? Remember when you asked the Design Council what they wanted as an augment for Ivara? The clear winner was obvious, yet we ended up getting something nobody cared about. What's the point in even having a Design Council then, if you're not even going to take a desired augment as feedback for what players want? Remember when we wanted Prime accessories to be sold separately? We've asked for it for ages, and we got nothing until Jim fucking Sterling's son came along, said he was upset that it wasn't a thing, and then you added it in almost immediately. How are we as the player base supposed to take you seriously when it comes to criticizing the game if all it takes to get something we want is to get a big name personality to play the game, say something, and step away?
Reel it in, I got the bag, tell a friend, she got some ass, bring it in, bitch I'm the news, CNN, yeah.
One thing I find weird is how, even though my video revolves heavily around Danielle's guides of the Lotus program, she wasn't part of the group response to me on Twitter. Even though you guys at DE have told me you spent some time talking about my video. You guys talked about my video so much so that you replied to my video in the exact same time span, and you even brought on Based God Pablo and DE Adian, although he no longer works at DE. Honestly, I get it. I really do get it. It's uncomfortable being in a position where you're being very clearly called out for things you clearly don't want to talk about. But the reason why I come across as harsh and loud is not just because this is the style of my videos, but because this is literally the only way to get your attention when it comes to trying to get problems addressed. Because as the subreddit has shown with the chat moderator fiasco time and time again, trying to get your attention through the subreddit or forums usually results in you just sweeping things under the rug. And that's only going to perpetuate the exact same issues we want to be resolved. Now you've stated that my video is nothing more than personal attacks on your development team. If my video were a personal attack or a witch hunt, like you say, then it wouldn't have been acknowledged by a single content creator. Unless you believe that we're all out to get you for whatever reason. And I wouldn't have been contacted and thanked by Elliot, the one who made the unfortunate mistake of entrusting Telluric with $4,000, because supposedly he contacted you years ago about what Telluric was doing, yet you did nothing. If you truly care about what your volunteers are doing outside of the game, why haven't you apologized for not having addressed anything during Telluric's time as a chat moderator? Why haven't you apologized to Fosternator for booting him off the guides of the Lotus without warning or opportunity to properly speak to a DE staff member? Anyways, it's quite clear that I touched a nerve here, judging by your reactions on Twitter, and that's relatively understandable. I'm sure that you're absolutely tired of a chat moderator-related thread or video popping up on subreddit, forums, or YouTube all the time. Trust me when I say that I'm tired of having to scream about the same problems over and over, only to be ignored. Talking about Vauban is a fine example of that. I will agree that this chat moderator fiasco is an annoying clusterfuck to talk about. But you've buried your head in the sand about this for so unreasonably long that you shouldn't be at all surprised when somebody comes along and pulls you back up. If you want a sincere and serious discussion of how things should be improved, by all means, I'm ready to have a chat with you. Not just me, but the rest of the community as well. If it means that the long-standing problems with your chat moderators and your guides of the Lotus to a lesser extent can be finally fixed, I'm perfectly willing to wait another 2 years for a Vauban rework. And that's something I don't say lightly, given that me asking for a Vauban rework is a borderline meme. You know as well as I do that I'm being genuine when I say this, because the last time one of my videos made waves at your offices, you contacted me and asked me for feedback, which I was absolutely happy to provide. But I digress. Just like I said in my previous video, if you absolutely, seriously, 100% want to show that you care about what the players think and say, you're going to have to at some point address and finally do something about your chat moderators and your guides. Because again, actions speak louder than words. I truly hope you're just as willing to finally discuss this as I am. Nothing will get done or improved if things keep going like this. I eagerly await your response. Yours sincerely, Ray Torlius. Thank you for watching.